Good evening, Brownsville. Happy Wednesday. This is Good Morning Brownsville special late night edition. We are on the second day of early voting. Lots of important issues are on the ballot. Um, Very controversial items on the ballot. Today we have Susan Rubalcaba, Susan for the People, to help us understand a little bit of the different candidates and of course the venue. Good evening, Susan.
Hello, everybody. I am definitely taking advantage of being on Frankie's show to get the hang of this podcasting thing before I start. So I hope everybody's joining in over here so that we can take advantage and watch everything that this expert podcaster does here.
It's like Captain Bob. He calls himself the biggest blogger or the biggest podcaster south of San Antonio or something.
Yep, there you
So,
go.
hey, say what you want about Captain Bob. He's stepping up his game. Now he's got
Hey,
microphones, and it makes
I
a big
know,
difference. It makes
man.
a big difference.
I think the first time I did a podcast with him, he had it propped up on some crab or something on the table, and oh man,
Yeah, but again, people watch Captain Bob
they
for
do.
better or worse. He asks those tough questions. He brings in candidates, community leaders, and people tune in. So again, we hear that you are in the process of creating your own podcast. If there's any way we could help on your journey, please feel free to reach out. And again, this platform could be your platform. But whatever is it that you need, make sure you let us know.
Yep, you're on my speed dial. Hi,
Uh,
Teresa.
Sounds good. So, second day of early voting. How has early voting been for you, or what do you hear out there?
Well, I think I know the first day wasn't too many people that went out, right? From what I gathered from the different people that were reporting. I personally haven't voted yet. I always vote the first Saturday, early voting, because I take my husband and my daughter, and they don't get out of work until 7 at night. So I always wait for them so I can take them. But I did get some pictures. Some people sent me some pictures of the library and all the candidates out there, supporting their cause and trying to get people to vote for them. But I mean, I'm hoping everybody's going to get out and vote. I think this is a super, super critical race for the city and for Cameron County right now.
Yeah, we did show the numbers from the first day of early voting. 700 or 699 to be exact individuals voted for the city. Um, Again, who we elect ultimately determines uh, what happens in our daily lives. The different dynamics of a power struggle on the city commission could ultimately, you know, dictate how our future will be. Um, let's get right into it, Susan. Everybody has been wanting to talk about this. The city races. How do you see the city races so far? Let's start with District Three. Give us very quickly a breakdown of the candidates and how they come across to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious from my page. We have Gus De Leon, we have Ivan Barraza, and we have who's the other one?
Chavez.
Denise Chavez. There you go. Um, I think that we need to look at the character, the moral character of the candidates. First of all, I went to the forum, South Padre Island forum, the Realtors Forum. Unfortunately, Mr. Gus De Leon was in the hospital at that time, so he couldn't make it. But Yvonne and Denise were there. Wasn't impressed with Yvonne at all, but that's totally obvious by my page. And Denise actually impressed me with her presentations. She has quite a bit of experience serving, and she was well spoken and seemed pretty smart. So personally, I think Gus was going to take it if there is going to be a runoff, it's going to be Gus and Denise. But I just don't think that Yvonne will pull enough votes to create a runoff. So I think Gus might take this one.
From the onset, I heard nothing but positive things about Gustavo de Leon, a federal agent who comes from a prominent family, who is known by the majority of Brownsville. Great reputation. He came out very strong. We have Denise Chavez, who on paper is more than qualified, serves on different boards and committees, from what I gathered. The interesting one, again, we've all been aware of Ms. Barraza's questionable past.
Right.
One thing, Susan, that I've mentioned is controlling the narrative. I think Ms. Barraza should have addressed these issues at the very beginning, because as we all know, whenever you run for public office, whenever you stick your neck out there, they're gonna throw the kitchen sink at you, essentially,
and then some.
And then some. My questioning to her camp is: did we prepare for this? Were you not aware that this was going to come up? Did you not know that these are very important issues? But one thing, Susan, that I have heard is that, you know, we all anticipate Gustavo de Leon being the front runner in the lead. The sleeper that I hear, and I want to get your thoughts on it, is Barraza, the killer. They're saying that the smear campaigns, the people trying to bully her, is probably giving maybe women the sympathy vote and saying, you know what? Maybe she was part of a domestic violence a case, and you know, maybe they're saying lies about her, because ultimately an individual can't run for the city if they have a misdemeanor or they have a felony conviction. So I'm assuming that Ms. Barraza doesn't have either one of them. That's the sleeper that I think is going to make some noise. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't see that at all. And I don't see the pity campaign, you know, pity voters coming out for her either. You know, this with Barraza, it isn't just one thing. It isn't just two things. You know, people were coming forward, saying different kinds of things allegedly about her character, about the, you know, just generally, you know, about her, and not just one. I mean, there was, gosh, I mean, you look at the post and you just search her name on Facebook, and man, the posts are like hundreds and hundreds of posts. She finally came out with a statement today, from what I understand. And, you know, it was a statement basically saying, poor me, you know, I was attacked, my character and everything else. Look, when you get into politics, you better get ready. And if you don't have a shield on and don't, or something to allow it to just to bounce off of you, you know, people are going to say a lot of stuff about you. And you better not have any skeletons in your closet that you don't want out. You know, I don't see it. I think she lost the race when she didn't, like you said, address these issues immediately, cut it, you know, immediately, so that it didn't take a story of its own or a life of its own like it did on the in the internet. I personally I've heard way too many negative things about her. You know, some of it's very true, you know, and some of it could be alleged. Just, you know, I just don't see it. I don't see her making it out of this one.
How do you anticipate the outcome of this race? Is there a clear a candidate in the clear that will not need a runoff, or do you anticipate a runoff, and if so, with who?
On all the races?
District 3.
Yeah, you know, I think there will only be a runoff in an at-large. I think Gus is pretty, from in my opinion, from what I've seen, from the way the campaign has been run, the background, name recognition, you know, you name it, whatever you want to say that contributes to the success of a candidate winning office. I think Gus de Leon will take it in District 3. I think Pedro Cardenas will take it in District 4. And the at-large, I think, is where there's going to be a runoff. The only thing that may weigh in that now is that I have gotten a tremendous amount of messages asking me how the candidates stand on the arena. And they are voting according to that. That is going to be the only thing that hurts or helps a candidate, depending on the person that's asking me. And today I got a lot of people asking me who was against the arena.
Do we know of any supporters of the arena in District 3? Would we know?
Not in. Oh yes, in District 3, I believe Yvonne Barraza is already in support of it. Denise Chavez is already in support of it, and I don't believe Gus has made his position on that public yet. I could be wrong. In District 4, I know that Pedro did vote unanimously with the city for a resolution. I don't know how much in favor he is of the project the way it's being presented right now, because I don't think he's made that public. And let's see, I believe Daisy Zamora is for the arena. Who else is in that race?
Michael Rodriguez, Louis Tijerina.
I'm not sure about Mike, and Louis, I believe, has come out and said he's against it. And then at large, Roy de los Santos is for the arena. Jason Moody, I don't know, Jason's on here. I don't think he's made his position public yet. Alejandro is against the arena. And Nerdith said that she would be for the arena if it was for sure that no taxpayer dollars would be utilized.
Staying with District 4, we have Commissioner Roy de los Santos. We have Jason Moody, Nudith Kalonsky, and Alejandro Garcia. How do you see that race?
I think there's going to be a runoff between Nerdith and Roy. Even though I would prefer Nerdith to win right out, or even one of the others, anybody but Roy. Everybody knows that about me.
Do you think that the public backlash that Commissioner de los Santos has received against saying the FU heard around the world, do you think that will ultimately greatly affect his campaign?
I think it should affect his campaign. I think that he has, we've had this discussion, and we had this discussion actually, I think it was on, if it wasn't on your show, it was on Daniel's show, where I was, talking with him. I personally think that was unbecoming of a leader. You can't pick and choose who can comment in public comment at a city commission meeting and not accept it. You have to be professional, and you have to, everybody comments all the time there about stuff that is no interest of them, but that's what they're there for. You got some crazy comments, and then you got some really good comments, but you can't go a couple of days later and, at an event and basically bash anybody. And I know that he wants to say that it wasn't about Ms. Ninfa. Well, it doesn't even matter if it was about her or not. It shouldn't be about any citizen that makes a public comment, liar or not a liar. He doesn't have the right, as a commissioner representing the city of Brownsville, to do that. And we've seen that. We saw that with Cesar de Leon. You can't do that kind of stuff. I'm surprised he was not removed.
And again, Cesar de Leon received national attention. The NAACP, if I'm not mistaken, sent a letter to the city commission and how they were, dissatisfied with the comments of a sitting commissioner. I tend to agree. I think that hurts Commissioner de los Santos. And compared to the previous election, this past election, I really didn't see Roy working it. Of course, we know that he has a support,
right,
and has the backing, strong backing. But maybe because of this issue, I just didn't see him as active as I've seen him before. But maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. As a matter of fact, at this SPI Realtors forum, he was on his phone the entire time. The entire time. They would call his name, and he would sometimes they would call his names twice just for him to get his attention, because it was his turn to speak. And I just felt like that was like, I'm here because I have to be, but I already got it in the bag kind of thing, you know. And that's unfortunate because you should always be campaigning as you're losing, not as you're winning. And again, I'm a little biased because everybody knows my feelings towards Roy, and it's nothing personal with him and I. Because I think, in all honesty, I think Roy is a very smart man, super smart. I just, his some of the things he has done as a commissioner and as a leader in his term is just unacceptable. And the fact that there's a pass after a pass after a pass, I think it's time for us to say no more, no more. Mm-mm.
How does Commissioner De Los Santos favor in regards to the venue? Would you know? Has he been in support of the venue?
He is in support, and he obviously he voted unanimously as well with the resolution.
Plain devil's advocate, Susan. The venue, again, a very controversial issue. It's on the ballot for the third time. Many people are wondering and saying, "Hey, maybe third time really is the charm." What's your take to those individuals, these politicians that are saying we need the venue for economic development here in the city of Brownsville?
Well, I don't disagree. I mean, I don't disagree that a venue would be a good thing for Brownsville, that it possibly could bring the economic development, positive area in the Madeira and that area over there where it's going to be. I don't disagree that it would be a nice place to hold graduations. I don't disagree that if we were able to get concerts and rodeos and all the things, that it would be great for Brownsville. But the question is it fiscally responsible? And that's the only there's a few reasons. One of them is the fiscal reason. And the second one is the fact that it is not transparent. There are so many holes in the plans. And, 3 years ago in 2022, we asked Eddie Trevino to come back with a plan, a concrete plan, let the citizens know and understand exactly what's going to happen. And instead of coming back with that, he kind of changed the campaign to focus on graduations, pulling at the heartstrings because of everything that's been going on. We had UTRGV move the Brownsville graduations to Edinburgh, big disadvantage for our citizens. Then we had all these issues with the Sam Stadium and them wanting to move the graduation to Sports Park and limit to the tickets. So that is a perfect thing to focus on right now. But graduations aren't going to bring any money to that venue. Graduations, I mean, maybe a handful or a small percentage may bring heads to beds because maybe somebody's coming in for a college graduation or a high school graduation from, up the valley, or not even up the valley, I would say Corpus or further. But it's not going to be a moneymaker. So I feel like he changed his campaign to pull at the heartstrings of people rather than actually being fiscally responsible and giving us a good plan for the arena. I'm real concerned about the finances of that arena.
What's the data that you've come across in regards to our competitors in Hidalgo County? Is it something where we're going to be able to take those millions of dollars away from them? Are we geographically located in a better spot than those areas? Is there something that we could argue, Susan, and say we need this venue because of look at the success that our rivals are having?
I mean, the Bert Ogden Arena doesn't fill up the stadium. I mean, they're giving away the tickets for the Vipers. So if you look at Bert Ogden, I mean, Bert Ogden Arena, the RGV Vipers pay $350,000 a year to use that arena. That's their term right now. $200,000 goes to the city of Edinburgh, and $150,000 goes back in for capital improvement. We don't have that kind of commitment yet. Okay, they say there's people, but we don't have that kind of commitment. If you look at Hidalgo doesn't fill up the stadium or the arena. You look at the recent concerts that are out there, they're very few, and the tickets are, on sale, and you look at how many has been sold and how many is not, and they don't fill it up. So I don't think there's any real competition, but I do think that it will restrict artists because there's a radius clause in all of this too. I mean, you're not going to have J-Lo or whoever you want. Let's go a little bit lower than that. Maybe one of the Spanish singers that come quite often to the valley. You're not going to have somebody go and play in McAllen or Hidalgo and Brownsville. They're going to choose between one or the other. Brownsville doesn't have the infrastructure. They don't even have a hotel. You know, like I've said before, if you're going to bring a big artist, which I've made my bet with Daniel, that like if we get a Luke Combs or a Bruno Mars or whatever, then he has to buy me the ticket if they come. But where are you going to put Bruno Mars? At a Holiday Inn? I mean, we don't have anything to offer them. Just because we are close to the South Padre Island and SpaceX, the stars aren't going to come for that. So I don't think that we're going to pull a lot from them. I mean, we may feed off of each other, but again, remember, the whole point of using the hot tax and being able to bring that economic is for them to come and stay in our hotels, right? Because that's how we increase our hot tax revenue funds. Edinburgh's not going to come over here and stay in our hotel. Hidalgo's not going to come stay in our hotel. When have you ever gone over there to a concert and stayed in their hotels? You may eat at a restaurant, but shoot, we do that when we go to the McAllen Mall on the weekend, just to go, or Costco or whatever. You know, it's Rio Grande Valley. Let's look at the whole. Great, we're feeding off each other. You know, when they come to the island, they give us money. But I mean, you're not going to bring people over for a concert unless they come all the way from Corpus. Maybe you'd have to go from Corpus all the way down in order for somebody to actually stay in our hotel, so that we can have an increase in those revenue funds. And that's what it's supposed to be used for. It's supposed to be used for venues or event centers or stuff that actually bring head to bed.
The interesting thing is that they've been making a pitch and saying we can get a major league team of some caliber. We can get A-list stars.
Mm-hmm.
They sell us with the dream of it being big and prosperous. But I think what many people are very skeptical about is our past. We can talk about the sports park. We can talk about our event center, the Brownsville Event Center. Third time's the charm. In your gut, how does this all unfold?
You know, I really hope the citizens are awake. You know, we know for sure. I mean, obviously by the past 2 times that he's already put it already on the ballot, it's going to happen again. And it's going to happen again until he's able to narrow that field and get it approved. And that's okay. But, you know, I think the developers, just like the developer from Bert Ogden was very open about what he was going to do, the developers, Trevino, they need to come to the citizens with a concrete plan. How they're going to pay for it, who's going to be responsible for what payments, how is the public-private partnership going to be arranged. And that's all we're asking, because like you said, Brownsville Event Center, sports park, all of them are subsidized by the city. All of them. 500, 600, 700,000 a year. Underutilized, barely maintained. They were supposed to market that sports park almost every year since it was built. We still haven't seen anything other than the big what is it, Olympic Games, or what were they called?
Texas Games.
That one. I mean, that's the biggest thing I think that we've seen. Unless I haven't seen any concerts come out there. Any major, like recently, any major like soccer games or anything like that. I mean, we're so big in soccer. I don't understand why we can't attract soccer teams over here to play soccer tournaments. And then if anybody private wants to rent or use it, it's so expensive. So, and then look at the SPI Amphitheater. I heard this weekend that the groups that were playing out there couldn't play at the amphitheater because it was too expensive. So they actually set up in the SPI Convention Center parking lot. I mean, if that's true, you know, Judge Trevino might be able to verify that. I mean, that's why, you know, that's crazy. So I don't know. I you know, trust is another thing, Frankie. You know, we just don't trust the citizen, the leadership right now in all of this. And that's why I think transparency is key. Come to us with that concrete plan. Convince us with that. Don't convince us with anything else but, you know, that for sure we're not going to carry this on our backs.
Judge Trevino went on Brownsville Tech Live, and he stated that he had this idea, this vision for Brownsville way back when he served as mayor for the city of Brownsville. And
Mhm.
he stated on the live that was possibly what, 15, 16 years ago, 20 years ago, let's say. Back
Mhm.
then it was, going to cost Cameron County 30-40 million dollars.
Mhm.
What's your take on those developers, those business owners saying the longer we wait, the more expensive it gets? Let's build now.
Mhm. Well, they've been saying that for the past three, every time they put it on the ballot. And I mean, I'm not denying that it's true, but that shouldn't be the only reason that we build it now. Just because it's going to cost more. I mean, it already jumped from what I think when they were advocating for it in 2022. Supposedly the Cameron County responsibility was going to be 35 million. Now it's going to be, if they do a small hybrid, it's going to be 50 million. If they do the 10 to 12,000 seater, it's going to be like 115 million. That's if Cameron County is taking a third of the responsibility. So yeah, I mean, of course, everything's going to be more expensive, but I don't think that's the only reason that we should build it. You're mute. I think you're muted. Are you muted?
No.
There you are.
Very, very, very important issue. And it does seem as if they are, for lack of better words, shoving this down our throats. It's like that child that doesn't know better. No, I don't want to take my medicine. No, you're gonna take the medicine. And they're no matter how loud we scream and shout, the parents are still gonna force feed us.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go? Where do we go from here? We know that Northern Cameron County is going to come out against it. What else is there besides a venue? And I'm going to put you on the spot. What else could we do for economic development?
Oh, well, we could successfully promote what we have. I mean, we have the amphitheater. We have the Eco Tourism Center in Laguna Vista. We have the event center. We have the sports park, all of which could bring conferences. And it just, I mean, there's size conferences, right? I mean, you don't have to bring some, huge one that's not going to fit, but you can bring others that could. We have the zoo that they're improving right now. I personally think the city of Brownsville is doing really good in economic development right now. I think that in the past couple of years, they've been really rapidly, we're seeing a lot more restaurants. We are seeing a few hotels built. So, I don't think the arena is the end all, that's going to bring this massive, unless let's say that I don't know if the Madera is, the project and the way that they have it envisioned with the hotels and the high-end restaurants and the high-end restaurants and stores that they want to put in there. I don't know if that's contingent upon an arena. That hasn't been said, but I mean, just that alone is economic development. If they're going to continue to do that, doesn't need an arena there.
That's very interesting that you say, let's take care of what we have. Mm-hmm. Let's be resourceful and focus on, and again, the sports park, who can remember, 60 million. I don't see 60 million there. Again, we understand land appreciation going up, especially in recent years. The event center mainly only hosts city events for job fairs, for community fairs. They have those women empowerment events, days. So it's kind of it's an eyesore. It's an eyesore, and you make a very, very good point. Let's focus on what we have right now. We need to capitalize on SpaceX. Yep. I don't think people are going to come from Australia because of the venue. No, they're going to come because of SpaceX. Right. And I think that's very important. Mayor John Cowan, on his address to the city, he stated that because of SpaceX, or in large part because of SpaceX, the city of Brownsville saw an increase of $100 million in tourism. So this election is very, very important. That's why I've been liking what Jason Moody has been campaigning on. A Brownsville, Texas, a BTEX strategic, comprehensive 20-year plan to where, hey, this is our goal. This is how we're gonna get there, and a big focal point should be SpaceX.
Yeah, in December of this past year, in 2024, December of 2024, I believe, there is the city started talking about the sports park, because I believe that we own about 130 acres there that is adjacent to it, that's under, it just has no development. It's just free land. So they were talking about what they were going to do there. And one of the things they mentioned was an arena. And so I'm not sure if they've kind of backed off because of this arena that's going on, but they put out I want to say they actually did a feasibility study. Yeah, they did. They did a feasibility study on how they could improve the sports park and utilize the acreage that we have adjacent to it that hasn't been developed. And there was several different things thrown out: hotels, shopping centers, an arena, convention center type thing. And so, I mean, it could very well work out. I'm not sure what kind of arena they were looking at, but God forbid we do both. So we need to. Somebody needs to put the brakes on.
So it's fair to say that it seems as if this seems to be the next great idea that Brownsville needs to take us to the next age. Lucio says, why don't we start with the sports park? Let's ask for the yearly financial cost to run the sports versus the venue it produces. Let's ask why they closed the Brownsville Museum, has been closed, and what plans are for that building in the near future. Did you see that?
I did see that. And I thought the Brownsville Museum was part of the Midi Culture District. So I was actually surprised, being that they're, remodeling that whole area. They're moving, with the cannery system. What is it? The cannery area. So, and then the zoo's right there. I mean, that's just, a very pretty place to be. And I was actually kind of sad that, but again, it's something that has happened with our event centers and our venues, and even that building, is they all turn into like a wedding venue for some reason. It's like, okay, we can't book anything else, and we'll just rent it out for weddings left and right. I mean, you're not going to make any money with that. That's not going to keep it. And I'll answer Lizette's question. As far as we know for sure, according to the budget, that they are putting $500,000 to $600,000 a year into the sports park, subsidizing it. So we are losing money on the sports park, on the airport, on the Brownsville Event Center, on the Brownsville Golf Center. All of that, we're losing money. There's the city of Brownsville is subsidizing all of those right now.
It's a hard pitch. I always make the argument that this past presidential election, it was difficult for individuals to make a case for the Democratic Party and saying, hey, these individuals, yes, we need them. It was difficult. Yeah. Right now, in my opinion, they've already had to play with the word from arena to venue. They haven't had some actual concrete data. We still don't know what kind of facility it's going to be. Judge Trevino did mention 3 possibilities where, depending on the structure, it's going to only lend itself to only concerts or outside venue, or so we don't even know what's gonna. It's kind of like, oh well, we'll see, vote on it, and then we'll decide. That's the way it seems. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and that's what I'm scared of, and that's the concern. Is like, once we say yes to this, all I want you to do, all you're doing right now is you're voting to say that we can use the hot tax funds from Cameron County to fund this construction, but we don't have the details yet. We still have a lot of work to do. Well, yeah, but like, once we say yes, then the gates are open. however he funds that and however he structures that, we don't have any input into that anymore. Nothing requires a vote after this. So once we say yes, and look, I'm not one out there that's saying property taxes and no more taxpayer dollars. I know what the hot tax fund is. I know where it comes from. It's the 2% from the hotel and the 5% from the rental car. I know that. You want to kind of say that it's for visitors only. That's not really so much true, because most of the rental cars here are rented from the people here to go out of town rather than the people coming in town and renting cars. But that's what it's supposed to be. It's a visitor's tax. I get it. You get a revenue bond for that. You pay for the construction. It comes out of there. But where's the maintenance and operations going to come out of? Where are all the insurance is going to come out of? Where are all the salaries going to come out of? Where are all the capital improvements or issues or repairs and all that going to come from? Who's going to pay the management company? Who is the management company going to be? Have we even gotten bids on the management company? And so it is something that is just, I don't know, too many holes, and shoving it down the throats for the third time. Respect the will of the people. They said no. We've said no twice. If it was by one vote or if it was by 500 votes, you lost. And it's just they don't want to accept it.
It's too much money. Hundreds of millions of dollars are at stake. You have one side, you have a judge who is adamant, and many people feel as if this is only going to benefit the developers in that area. Possibly District 4 is bound, well, they are bound to benefit if it passes. Today, Susan, this morning, I hope you watch Good Morning Brownsville every morning, Susan, at 9 a.m. I hope you do. This morning, we talked about the numbers, the early vote numbers.
Right.
We talked about the city of Brownsville. For their elections, they had 700 people. What was very telling was the people that came out to vote for the arena. Me, Susan, in my little warped mind, I consider Brownsville as being the biggest city in the county. Mm-hmm. That you could have Harlingen, San Benito, La Feria, the rest of the county added up, and they still wouldn't be up to the par of Brownsville, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Well, yesterday, on the first day of early voting, 1,400 people, double the amount of people that came out to vote for the city of Brownsville, came out to vote on the arena. Mm-hmm. And we can anticipate that the majority of them came out to vote no. We know for sure that Harlingen, San Benito, Los Fresnos, PI, South Padre is against this. Right. What's your take? Does that, I guess, that was like a light bulb in my head. 700 people came out to vote for the city of Brownsville elections. 1,400 people came out to vote from all over Cameron County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am almost positive that the people from San Benito, Harlingen, Los Fresnos, PI, they're all saying no, definitely. And I just think, just if you do the poll online, if you just look at the comments online, from different areas, most of the people are against it, and they all have their reasons. But the most concerning is that how is this going to be paid for? And I know that he wants to convince us that it's going to be only through those hot tax funds, but I just don't see the numbers adding up to only that. And if it is, then it's his responsibility to convince us, show us, give us the proof, and let us make that decision if it's going to be on our backs or not. But he hasn't done that. He hasn't done a good job of it. He didn't do it in 21, in May of November of 21, May of 22, and he hasn't done it this time around either. Him or anybody else that he delegates that responsibility to hasn't done it.
Is this something to where we just lost faith in our leaders? Is there ulterior motives that we feel as if is going on behind the scenes?
Well, yeah, of course. Every citizen in the city of Brownsville was burned by Tenaska. We got, we had to go on and fight for a little bit of a refund of millions and millions of dollars that were stolen from us. Of course. And then you got, everything else that they talk about. You got the the sports park that started off at what, 18 million, then it was 40 million. I think BCIC just approved $700,000 in retrofitted lighting for the sports park. I mean, it's just almost like a money pit at this point. It is a money pit if you're not going to bring revenue in, for sure. Everybody talks about the bridge to nowhere. We talk about the performing arts at BISD. That what happened? The folks said, you know what? Absolutely, we need a performing arts center. Everybody voted yes. Where is it? So yeah, I mean, trust is not there, and I think that's something that Judge Trevino needs to realize, because personally, I feel he's very arrogant about it. But I mean, I don't know how much he was affected by all the stuff that we've been affected by. I mean, obviously, Tenaska, he was able to make money while we were all losing money. So I mean, he's got to realize that the citizens have been burned one too many times, and they're finally waking up. They're finally looking into things. People are voting more. They're becoming more educated. They're investing more in their city. It's time for the leaders to step up, invest more in their citizens, give us the information we need.
BISD, it's my opinion that if this item passes and the arena is approved, I don't see BISD justifying building the Performing Arts Center, in my opinion. Again, if we could go back to 2016-17 where they did the TRE, there are many questions. Many people are asking for an audit of these funds. How much money has been generated? Has that money been used? And if not, when do we anticipate building the Performing Arts Center? What's funny is they always get us by our emotions.
Right.
We talked about how Judge Trevino spoke about graduations, and everybody was pissed off because they had to watch Mijito in Edinburgh, and they didn't want to drive, and then weather and stuff like that. With BISD, who can forget? They packed the house with nothing but theater, performing arts, choir, band, and they jerk us at our emotions and say, look, you see, you're going to tell these kids no? But again, is it our fault, Susan, for not electing the right candidates, and we're stuck with this mess?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at the BISD bond. Okay, I was on the facilities committee. I was a co-chair for it. And, that whole bond issue, when it first started out, they told us exactly how much max that bond could be without raising taxes. Right then, that should have been the goal. We desperately needed the bond at BISD. We needed it for HVAC and roofing. We toured almost every school and looked at the lack of upkeep and just massive repairs and remodeling that needed to be done. And it's one of the things that BISD really needed to focus on in order to keep the kids at the district. So when I first walked in, I was totally in favor of that bond. I said, anything that we can get that won't affect the taxpayers, I'm on board. Well, as it evolved, of course, everything changed. And BISD didn't want to lower their $350 million bond, and they wanted the Performing Arts Center at the same time. So what did that do? That took it over the limit, and the taxpayers were going to get a tax increase. They weren't going to get a tax increase for the $350 million bond. They were going to get a tax increase because they were putting them both on the ballot. And that increased the limit above, and they needed to have a tax increase. All they needed to do was not be so greedy, bring that $350 million down to wherever we could put the Performing Arts Center into, and not have the taxpayers affected. But they didn't want to do it. And that's when I turned and said, you know what? No bond then. Because you could have done it that way. You could have easily had your cake and eat it too. And there's no doubt that the district needs that money.
The district is in competition. We have IDEA, the charter schools. They're taking students from BISD left and right.
Yep.
We have spoken also about SpaceX.
Yep.
They are also opening up their Ad Astra school and investing $20 million. Where do you think the brightest of the bright are going to want to go. They're going to want to go to SpaceX. They're going to figure out a way. Just how everybody figures out ways to get into these idea schools, they're going to figure out a way how to get into SpaceX. I am also of the belief that we need to be competitive. We need to invest back in our schools. One thing that bothers me, Susan, is that it's kind of what Mr. Moody alleges to the city. There is no strategic plan.
Comprehensive.
HVACs and facilities maintenance is something that BISD year in and year out, and freezers. Those are like 3 or 4 things that are always breaking down. It seems as if, is it fair to question our leadership, board members that have been there for multiple times, multiple tenures? Because again, it seems as if we're just writing checks and then not following through.
Yeah. I mean, as an elected official, you're not there to be friends with every, employee that's in leadership there at the Glass Castle. I mean, you're supposed to be overlooking and be good stewards of the taxpayer dollar. And I don't feel like that's what's going on right now. Every time someone wants to question something and they get the 3rd degree, we obviously don't have a comprehensive plan at BISD, and there is no maintenance plan for 1, 2, or 5 years. And I can tell you that for sure, because we asked in one of our co-chair meetings if we could see the actual maintenance plan, and there's not one. So of course, BISD has been let go for years. And, unfortunately that bond is just like saving BISD if the current administration would have gotten it and would have distributed it properly or used it properly, which again, we have trust issues there. But, that's why I'm so happy to see all the people getting involved and voting now and questioning, like really questioning different aspects of the candidates, and not just listening, I'm very vocal on my page. Everybody knows it. And a lot of it is, obviously this is my opinion. I try and post everything that I find a link so that everybody can read it on their own and create, basically conclude what they want to conclude. But what I like is that not everybody just agrees with me. They actually will message me and say, okay, like I was saying, which candidate is for the arena, because that's who I want to vote for. Not because you said to vote for them, not because, you're against the other one. I'm going to vote for whoever's voting for the arena. Do you know who that is? I like that, because then they're researching, the candidate on their own. They're making their own choices. And I think that's happening a lot more and more. I think what we have to focus on is, our little old ladies that don't have social media, and are those consistent voters because they know that, that's their obligation, and they're hardcore. Like my grandmother, she was a hardcore voter, but she had a flip phone, before she passed away. I mean, she's not gonna pick up and look at social media. And I know that that's what these guys focus on. I'm sure, that's what the arena is doing, is focusing on our little old ladies that don't have social media and know what's going on. But we got to get to voting these leaders that are creating these problems, and we got to vote them out. We really do. BISD is going to be in for a big surprise, with all of the charter schools and private schools, and now with the vouchers and all that's going on. I mean, they need to step it up. And it surely isn't because of the staff or teachers, because I can tell you this, I would choose the teachers at BISD 10 times over. They are amazing at what they do, and they're dedicated. So it's not like it's a better teaching atmosphere. Maybe ratios are a little bit different. The schools are nice and shiny. They're new. And I'm not dogging any private school or charter school, by no means. I'm just saying that Brownsville has amazing teachers.
And that's the daily struggle, I guess. I am in support of a bond. I think it's important for us to be competitive, because again, the uncertainty of BISD is not promising. We hope that there is a silver lining, but the reality doesn't look good. School vouchers is going to disrupt everything. We are so used to having a budget of $500 million, $500 million. Employees, it doesn't look good.
Mm.
I, I am not satisfied with the current leadership. There's a lot of uncertainty, and this bond is also very, very telling. Again, we are the second day of early voting. Do you anticipate? I think the numbers have come out already. Do you anticipate Brownsville coming out throughout the week and finishing out strong, or do you think that we're going to get a week of voter apathy?
No, I don't think so this time. We we have uh we have three. I mean, we have an at large, and then we have two district races, and then we have that very hot topic arena on. I think we're going to see pretty consistent throughout the week.
Interesting, interesting. So
Yeah.
again, just to recap very quickly, in District 3, Gustavo de Leon, Denise Chavez, Corina Barraza, you anticipate uh, Gustavo de Leon taking it outright?
Yeah, I anticipate Gus taking it because I don't believe that Barras is going to take enough votes to cause a runoff. And if
Uh,
there was a runoff, it would be I mean it would definitely be between Denise and Gus. I just don't feel like Barras is going to pull enough from that.
District 4, you have incumbent Pedro Cardenas, Michael Rodriguez, Louis Tejerina, and Daisy Zamora. What's your take on that race?
Yeah, Daisy also another very well spoken, well planned candidate. I have nothing against Daisy at all. She was very very good on the charter review committee. I was able to get to meet her on that, and but I've had some experience with Pedro as a commissioner, and he's always been very responsive. And I think for Pedro, Highway 77 is a huge accomplishment. Old Highway 77. I think that for the city of Brownsville, that road is traveled so much, and he worked so hard to get that done. That I think that's huge. In addition to everything else he's done for District 4, but I just think that's a huge accomplishment for him. So I just think he's going to pull ahead. I wasn't real impressed with Louis and Mike. I don't know Mike. I don't know Mike, but Mike was not at the forum. I haven't seen him speak. I haven't seen much on his campaign at all. I haven't been to any of his meet and greets, but like I haven't seen anything on social media about him. He's just kind of in the background, and I don't think you can do that as a candidate, not in this kind of race. You have a very strong incumbent, and and like I said, Louis very well spoken. I don't like the people he surrounds himself with, and I just some of his focuses for me aren't as important as others. And Daisy's very strong, I think, but I think Pedro's going to take it. If there was a runoff in that, I would venture to say it would probably be Daisy and Pedro, because I know Daisy's backed by some of the current leadership.
Yes, that is correct. Daisy Zamora is being backed by Mayor John Cowan and soon to be former Commissioner Gowan. So that within itself is going to be another interesting race.
Mhm.
And for the at large race, we have Commissioner De Los Santos, Jason Moody, Nudith Golonsky, and Alejandro Garcia. Is there any chance, Susan? Is there any chance that Jason Moody, Alejandro Garcia will make a wave? Did Roy's "F you heard" around the world, is that going to hurt him, or he's going to be walking into the runoff?
He's not going to walk in. He's not going to walk in easily to the win. If he does, it's going to be work for him, and I think he knows that. Alejandro has a big Christian support system. He's a great guy. He really is. He has a good heart. For me personally, I just don't know that he's ready to go into the lion's den that we have right now. And I think what Alejandro should do, because I think he has a future in it, I think he should serve on some boards. I think he should get elected to some of the board or get appointed to some of the boards and start feeling his way around and then come back and run again. That's how I feel about him right now. But he's a really, really good guy. Like I would trust him if I thought he was ready. Jason I mean, I've known Jason for a while. I just don't know that Jason is strong enough to beat out Nerdith or Roy. He may be strong enough to pull enough votes to. Well, I think he is going to be strong enough to actually pull enough votes to put it into a runoff. But I think it's going to end up being Roy and Nerdith in a runoff for sure.
Is there any chance that the St. Joe vote could get Mr. Moody over the hump?
I don't know that Jason Moody has a connection with St. Joe like Nerdith does. I could be wrong, but I think the St. Joe would come more for Nerdith and maybe even Roy, just because he's an incumbent and, he does a lot of pony shows, dog and pony shows. But I could be mistaken, but I don't know that Jason, I think, has more of a connection maybe with the BISD, just because he has a history of working there and probably a lot of community organizations.
And the reason why we were here, how do you think, Susan, after the third time on the ballot, what's the fate of the venue in Cameron County?
It's going to be close. It's going to be close. And I think Trevino is banking on that. And so the citizens that, you have to do your own research and you have to, make an informed decision. For me, I'm not making the decision based off whether we would benefit from it or it would be great or would be awesome to be able to have, if it was possible, concerts in a great venue for graduations, all that. I'm not saying that that's not a good thing. What I'm saying is that I personally don't feel, based off of the numbers that I've researched, that it's fiscally responsible. That's why I'm voting no. And I think that's what the people need to start looking at. Not is it, don't just look at, oh, this is going to be a great thing. What is it going to bring? And it's going to bring this. And look, we could do this and that. Yes, okay. But is it fiscally responsible? Is it something that we can carry the burden financially and be okay? And I don't know. I don't see it. And if I don't see it, it's because they haven't convinced me. So either they need to work harder or maybe they're going to pull it off. And if they pull it off, I think we'll all be okay. It won't be the best thing, but we'll be okay. We'll be fine. We're going to make it out of it. I just don't think it's time. I think everybody needs to really, really research it.
Day 2 of early voting in the books. Early voting runs until April 29th. Election day is May the 3rd. Please, 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 if you haven't already, make sure you go out and vote. Very, very important issues on the agenda. We have Starbase. We didn't talk about. Maybe we could come on another day, talk about Starbase, how that's going to affect Brownsville. We have the city council races, District 3, District 4 at large, and the very, very controversial issue of the Cameron County arena / venue. Susan, thank you so much for your time. If you're free, maybe we could do something on election night.
Hey, I'm down. And I'm waiting for election to be over so I can start talking about some of the more national issues that are going on. But, get out and vote. It doesn't matter who you're voting for. We'll still be friends, but you got to get out and vote, guys. You got to make your voice heard. It's your obligation and it's your right. And so don't complain if you don't vote.
Again, the candidates have done their job. Now it's time for us voters to do ours at the ballot box. Once again, Susan, thank you so much for your time. Each and every one of you, make sure you tune in Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. We can be found on YouTube and Facebook. Same Batman time, same Batman channel. Thank you so much.